So today I have one of the strongest massage guns in stall force I have used, at least in terms of feel. We're going to get to more testing in a minute, but this is the ExoGun. Now, they did send this product to me for free, and that was to do my 100% honest opinion, so we are going to do just that. So first, let's jump over to the case so you can kind of see what's in it. And as you can see, I do use these massage guns. I don't just read specs to you. I've used a massage gun for about 3 weeks now, and I am going to tell you my experiences. So they do have the 4 common heads here. This is the flat head, and does kind of have some of those notches and bumps on them. They have the bullet head, and the fork, and the classic ball head, obviously. Now these are kind of the 4 most common heads, and one thing I will say is that this does allow you to spin the fork. So if you're going across your forearm or something and the massage gun turns, if you want to kind of torque on it, sometimes it will spin on you, but these rings are actually pretty nice fit inside this metal chuck. Now the build quality is pretty solid here. This is kind of an aluminum piece surrounded by plastic pieces. Now one thing I did notice is the handle is, shrinking just a little bit. Mine has a tiny little bump here. I'm not sure what that is, but other than that, the build quality seems to be pretty solid. The charge port is right here on the bottom. Get that in there. And you have the screen on the back. Now, nice glossy screen means what? Fingerprint magnet. But the power button, touch capacitive button, pros and cons to that, because sometimes what can happen is, you accidentally bump it. But this one's not too bad. And the screen, because of the angle of the massage gun, see the little 30-degree angle or whatever that is, but the screen is in there flat. So as I kind of turn it, see that? You can kind of see there's like a little shelf there. And sometimes, depending at what angle you're holding it at, straight on is right here. So if I come down, now I can see half the numbers. Okay, so see if I can kind of show you that. Right, so that is straight on, but as you start to tilt it a little bit, now you kind of get the reflection on the bottom. Not a huge deal, because ultimately this thing has 6 speeds and a battery indicator, so what do you really need in the massage gun screen anyway? In fact, there's the touch capacitive buttons, right? I accidentally bumped it. We do have a nice little manual. It tells you good information. One thing, the speeds range from 1200 all the way up to 3200 RPM, and it's 2.5 pounds. Now, as I mentioned, these rubber gaskets, they do send a couple spares, so that's kind of nice. So you can kind of put those on, replace them. Now, I have never ran into an issue that I've had to use those, so that's nice. The charge cable is nice and long, no issues there. It is not USB-C though, unfortunately. You know me, I like USB-C. So coming back to the angle real quick before we get to the power, the angle of the handle is kind of convenient for some things, like certain reaches and stuff like that. I personally just prefer kind of the straight handle, because sometimes I feel like it almost compromises now the straight handle, because this is now straight, but it's up at an angle. So I have to tweak my arm to get it straight, if that makes sense. But in some ways, it can also help you reach different areas. Now, when you are trying to reach those hard to reach areas, one quick tip here is I like to lean up against a couch, right? So if you need something with a really long reach or something like that, just lean up against the couch. That's my tip of the day. So power, speed, amplitude, stall force. Speeds, we talked about the speeds from 1200 all the way up to 3200 RPM. Stall force, they claim it is 60 pounds. Now, I never believe those numbers, and if you've seen any of my 60 massage guns that I've talked about over the channel, those numbers always seem to be off, right? So I've done my own testing, and some of the strongest massage guns out there on my test with my scale is around 40 pounds. Now this one comes in right around like low 30s, so that is very strong. And I will say, in use, it's extremely strong, right? So, I mean, you have to really dig in and you're gonna feel it. So I will say, in use, it almost seems stronger than my scale is showing, even though I did it several times to try to average that out. So keep that in mind. It is one of the strongest massage guns I've used in Stall Force. Now, Amplitude. Let's talk about Amplitude. That is how far this head travels back and forth. Now, Theragun kind of leads the charge on that. If you like the millimeters of amplitude there, they have 16 millimeters. ExoGun says we also have 16 millimeters of amplitude. The catch is when I measure it, and I ended up getting these calipers for just this type of situation, it's only just over 8 millimeters. I checked in with the company and they said they just measure it differently. I'm not sure how they're measuring it, but according to other massage guns, how I measure those ones, which seem to be accurate, this one does come in around 8 millimeters of amplitude. So just keep that in mind. If you're buying this because it has 16 millimeters of amplitude, I can tell you that my model has 8 millimeters of amplitude. Personally, don't prefer a huge amplitude anyway, because that just means it's going to punch you harder, right? So that's the slap, right? And then the stall force, as I showed you, is the digging in deep, okay? I personally don't like that slap of the head there, so I'm not disappointed that it's only 8 millimeters of amplitude, but when you claim it's 16 and it's not, that's where it can become an issue. Now, in terms of noise, I would rate this one right around, middle of the road here. 50s is the high, and that is pretty reasonable. Now, you're not going to use this probably when you're watching a movie with the family on the couch, but it's definitely not going to annoy the entire gym as soon as you turn it on like the Theragun does. So all in all, what do I think of this massage gun? Well, it comes in right around $130 or so. Other than that, the build quality seems to be solid and on point. It has heft to it. The battery seems great. I've never had an issue with battery life here. The screen is a little off angle, and the handle off angle, there's some pros and cons there. So you're gonna have to decide if you like that piece. But overall, $130. I think it's a great quality build with incredible stall force. But there's some other massage guns out there, and I'm going to leave a link down below to some of my comparisons. You may want to check those out. I want to make sure that you have all the information you need to buy the right massage gun for you. So if you have questions on the ExoGun or any other massage gun, please leave them down in the comments down below. Until next time, thanks for watching. See ya.